silence, sleeping with my wife. We woke up to a loud sound. We didn't understand what it was, but both of us woke up sharply and startled. We lie there, silent, discussing in whispers. Naturally, my wife pulled me out of bed. Go and see what was there. I reluctantly went to look round the house. Everything was quiet. Everything was in place. Nothing fell. We fell asleep. 2 hours later, the same picture. This time I heard the noise clearly and knew approximately where it was coming from. My wife panicked. I went to the next room to reconnoitre. The noise was from there. I checked. Everything was fine again. And just as I was about to leave the room, I felt someone's eyes on me. I looked round slowly, but there was no one there. I felt a chill on my feet and thought that the window was open, so I should close it. I approached, pulled back the curtains, and jumped up to the ceiling and screamed. Ah! Some old woman was looking at me from the street with big white eyes. She looked as if she had been dead for months. My scream made my wife scream in the room and started calling for me. I don't remember how I flew out of the room and rushed to my wife, trying to explain to her what I saw there. She burst into tears out of fear. I tried to calm her down, but I myself could not believe my eyes and was in a terrible panic. After 10 minutes, we calmed down. I went on my rounds again, taking a hammer with me. I went round the house, stood outside the fence, smoked nervously. I was cold. It was winter, by the way. I came to my wife, we were discussing, and my wife asked me if I had found the footprints. It dawned on me. There were no footprints under the window where she was standing, and there were knee-deep snowdrifts there. To make sure, we went to look out the window, but there was nothing there. I was perplexed. My wife was in tears again. I could barely calm her down. It was already morning. She and I slept a little during the day, as we didn't get much sleep during the night. And now it's night again. We are awake. We are sitting by the TV. Everything is fine. Suddenly, the lights go out in the house. I went to look at the electricity meter to see if the plugs had blown, but everything was fine. I come into the room. My wife is sitting on the sofa. I told her the plugs were fine and went to the kitchen to get a torch and candles. I go into the kitchen and bump into my wife. She was looking for candles too. I was stunned. I did not tell her. I stood there thinking what to do, because I could see her clearly in the room, even though there was no light, and she was here. So I took the torch, and she took the candles, and we went into the living room. I went and prayed that there was no one there, because if my wife saw anyone, she would go crazy or have a heart attack. God forbid. There was no one on the sofa. Just as we were arranging the candles, the light suddenly switched on. We gave a good word to our government and started to get ready for bed. But I had seen something, and I was not sleepy at all. I lay there and thought about it, and I began to guess why we had got this house so cheaply. The former owners had known, but had not told us that such things were happening here. I lay there for a long time and didn't notice how I fell asleep. I woke up with a terrible cold. My wife was sleeping with her back to me. I covered her with another blanket and went to the kitchen for a smoke. My wife came into the kitchen and asked me why I had taken her to the living room on the sofa, since she had fallen asleep with me in our bedroom. I told her that I didn't do that, and that I had personally covered her in the bedroom myself with a blanket recently. We were both very surprised and went into the bedroom to check who it was that I was covering up there. It was weird and funny with this misunderstanding. I opened the bedroom door, my wife was behind my back, and oh my God, there was that horrible looking broad lying on the bed. We screamed with fright and rushed into the living room, switched on the light, and started calling the police. They listened to us and told us that we should drink less. The hysteria went on for a long time. Eventually, I called a couple of my friends and explained the situation to them. They searched the whole house, but found nothing. My wife told me categorically that she would not set foot in the house again, and went to live with her mother until I deal with this damn thing. I called the former owners of the house and asked them. They said they didn't know anything, but there was anxiety in their voices, and I realized they were lying. As it turned out later, they were also victims in the house, like us, but they couldn't do anything about it and sold it to us cheaper. The house obviously had a bad past. The next day, I called a priest to consecrate our house. When he arrived, he said from the start that the house was unclean. It was hard to be here, and advised me to move out. I, in turn, advised him to do his job and that I would not have any claims against him later. He consecrated the house, I paid him, and we said goodbye. I calmed down a little. I didn't want to check the result, but I had little choice. And then it was night again. Now I was alone. I bought some alcohol for courage, as I realized I wouldn't sleep. I sat quietly drinking in front of the TV and enjoyed the quiet evening. I fell asleep quietly after the 6th bottle of beer. I woke up because I wanted to go to the toilet. Standing in the toilet, I heard a knock on the door and thought that maybe my wife had missed me, but I was early to rejoice. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. My wife was standing there, but she looked strange. Her face was like glass, frozen. I opened the door, rejoiced, started to ask her why she changed her mind, what she had traveled by, to which she answered me in a strange voice. I want to sleep. I thought she had a cold. I don't remember falling asleep. In the morning, I woke up to a phone call. I picked up the phone, and my wife was asking me how I was doing. I didn't understand anything in my sleep, and asked the first question that came into my head. "Where are you?" She told me she was at her mom's. I nearly went gray. I didn't look in the room. I don't even remember if I opened the door or if I just carried her out. I ran away from the house, stopped to catch my breath, and understand what was going on. And the old gray-haired woman was looking at me from the window again. But this time I was in the street. I realized that I had let her back into the house last night after the consecration. I had no more doubts that it was a ghost, and I wasn't going back in there. That's how I witnessed the unexplained phenomenon.